Hey guys, it's Brooke with the Junk Parlor. I do have a glue gun plugged in, but I have gotten where I don't like using a glue gun, and I will tell you why. And this is for absolutely any project, because when I do projects, it's normally for Christmas, I feel like, and I am going to be storing my Christmas stuff in something that is not temperature controlled, or if it is, it's still going to drop and get pretty cold or pretty hot in the summer or whatever, you know, it's going to fluctuate. And I feel like the hot glue does not stay adhered when it's in a temperature fluctuating place. So if you were going to store it in your guest bedroom or something, or a closet, and it does have heating and cooling in it, then I think hot glue is okay. But personally, my experience is I will open something up that was glued from last year and it is no longer glued. So what I like to use is E6000 glue, and it is pretty much you know, you can't read the label, but it literally just says the letter E6000. Now, both of these need to go in the trash can because they're both like clogged up. This one's leaking out the end. So hopefully I have enough glue, but that's why I got the hot glue gun, just in case I needed to do it just to secure it for now. So I always have tons of spindles, okay? I've got a dealer friend who has sold them to me because he hadn't had any luck selling them. So I have a little bit of everything. I have a whole bucket that is thicker ones. These all match. And then I have just tons of random ones. So what I did was I didn't really want to cut because, like I said, adhering these with a nail gun is probably your best bet. I don't have a nail gun. Now, my dad has a nail gun, but that requires going over to his house. So I try and only do projects like that in bulk, where I have a bunch of them to do at once so I can take my stuff over or bring the nail gun over here and utilize it. Same thing is I don't really have a saw. I have the old, you know, do it by hand saw, but my equipment that I use is at my dad's house. So when I was laying this out yesterday, what I was doing was really trying to find ones that fit together, that were going to be staggering in size without me cutting them. I did end up having to cut one because I'm going to do two different trees for you. And one of the reasons I don't like to cut is because I like them to be symmetrical. Now, this one isn't symmetrical to begin with because you've got a little grouping here and a little grouping here, where this blue one, it is symmetrical. So, no, never mind, it's not either. Let me see if I have one that's symmetrical. Okay, I have a baby one that's symmetrical. This one is symmetrical, okay? So I like it to be even, but that's really hard to do because most of the time when they've turned these spindles, they are making some kind of pretty arrangement or whatever, and so they're not necessarily going to be symmetrical. But that is what I look for. So if I am going to lay one out that is not symmetrical, maybe it's tapered, it's fatter at one end and thinner at the other, I am going to try and flip those. So instead of having fat all be on one side, I'm going to go fat and then fat. So I'm going to flip which side it's on, if you're following what I'm saying. So we've got my board here. This is not even a board. This is a door. This is the paint color that it was. It still has its hinges on the side. And all I did was dug through all the spindles that I had and picked ones that are tapering. So this would be an example of this one is fatter on this side, this one is fatter on this side, and then these two are symmetrical. This one's not symmetrical, but it doesn't taper in size. So I laid them out like this. Well, you can do them all tight and compact if that's what fits your thing you're gluing them on. But I have a big, this is probably a cabinet door, not even like a kitchen cabinet door, but a cabinet door. And I don't know where this spindle came from. Because, I think it was there. Because it's very big, okay? So I want to split up my tree. You can kind of see that it's beveled here. I want to split up my tree on this section of the beveled door. This one was already broken, so I just went ahead and thought that this would be a good tree stem. And then I thought this made a good tree stopper or topper. And so that's what I picked there. So I'm going to kind of eyeball to start with here, them being equal distance at the top and bottom. And then I'm just going to eyeball and spread out my other spindles and hope that they're not going to roll all over the place. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I feel like I'm not quite centered. So if you are super particular, use a tape measure. I'm okay with eyeballing. But you could measure from this wider spot and see where you're lining up with. So that one is 1 inch in, so that one's lined up well. And then you can go to your next one as well and figure it. The other thing you can do is line up between my seams here, because that's just a nice straight edge. Figure out what's the middle of 11.5, and then draw a line with probably chalk. Chalk would be the easiest because you can put it on here and then erase it super, super easy, and that will help you stay all in a line. So that is an option. Another thing is maybe you want to make sure that you are staying equal distance apart. You can take a marker or another spindle and place in between as you're gluing so that you can keep even that way as well. And then literally all we're going to do is use my E6000 glue, and we are going to glue these things down now that I have them lined up where I want. So I feel like we are still not just quite centered. So I'm gonna go like that. Now, if I was doing this on my own, I would probably do this on the floor where I can be up tall, high above the piece and look down, because I think it's easier to tell if you're evenly spaced or not when you can get high up above your piece. And then I'm just putting this E6000 on the pieces that are going to actually touch. And then because this is not like immediately going to be set, like if you were using hot glue, you're gonna need to lay this flat until it has completely dried. And I'm being pretty generous with my glue because if it is a piece that's not quite touching the door, then if there's a glob of it, it will hold it down. Okay, so I lucked out on this one and I did not have to glue anything. If you want, you can always go through and paint your spindles. I could paint my door, and then there you have the tree. The nice thing about this is you're just salvaging some wood. So a lot of times I feel like carpenters and antique dealers, they have a hard time throwing things away. And so this is a way that you can save something and use it other than putting a sign on it. I tried to pick spindles this time that were a little fatter and bulkier, and this board on this side is cut at a 90-degree angle. At this side, it's very just broken off here at some point, which I think that makes it a little bit harder to keep yourself centered, but kind of the same thing. You could paint these if you wanted to as well. I don't mind that they blend in a little bit, but you're gonna wanna kind of lay it out to start, because I can tell I have a lot of room down here and I only have a little bit of room down here. So I want to either move this down, spread it out a little bit, or make these more compact so that what I'm using for my star is lower and there's more space here at the top. So that's a little bit better. Now, this is the one that I ended up cutting because, again, you want it to be a tapered thing. These two are very similar in size, but because this one is so fat and this one is skinny, it helps with our optical illusion of tapering it. So this one, I just literally got my little handsaw and cut it. So if I was going to do a bunch of them, I would go over to my dad's and use his chop saw. The other thing is this looks like a fresh cut, so you could take some stain and fill it in there as well, and that would be another option. So I think I've got it laid out okay. I'm going to go ahead and glue down an option that you have on this is also, I never did the bottom one, is also, these are like little finials. This was the top of a bed. And I could cut off this dowel rod and use that kind of as the top of my tree if, you know, I didn't have any little spindles like this. So that is an option as well. And I've also used like the inside of a clock for like a clock gear, and used those as a star up here as well. You cut out a piece of ceiling tin and do that, have a little star like that, or you could even do the string where you put it in like Elmer's glue to make it hard and do a string there as well. And then you can embellish this if you want with some beads and glitter, or you can leave it more primitive and rustic like this. Just depends on what fits into your home decor. So hopefully that inspires you to make some spindle trees, make trees out of literally anything just by pyramiding them onto a board or door that you have lying around.